2, 1.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going on about a film that we actually discussed several weeks back, but things didn't work out that way. But we're back to discuss it and get it out of the way, so that we can move on and move forward, and all that jazz. Some time ago, we actually discussed at least the version of Ben-Hur that I know well, and that's the one with Charlton Heston. Now, this one was a remake of the film, done in 2016 by director Timur Bekmambetov. And it stars. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jack Houston, Toby Kebbell, Rodrigo Santoro, among. I gotta mention Morgan Freeman too.
Oh, yes, true.
But we have an interesting cast of characters. And we have a lot of differences, that's for sure. But let's see what IMDb says about the film before we go into first impressions. And just pulling up what the darn it says now. Come on. All right, I'll go down further and read the synopsis if there is one. Storyline. Okay. A Jewish nobleman, Judah Ben-Hur, and his adopted Roman brother, Masala, are best friends despite their different origins. Masala enlists in the Roman army and fights in the Roman Empire's wars in Germany. Ben-Hur also develops feelings for the family slave Esther, although their different station in life compels him not to pursue her. But when her father, Simonides, seeks to marry her off to a Roman, Ben-Hur declares his love for her and takes her as his wife. 3 years later, Marsala returns as a decorated Roman officer. His return coincides with a rising insurrection by the Zealots, Jews who are opposed to the oppressive nature of Roman rule. So, heading over to you guys for first impressions. I'll start with you, Boris. What were your first impressions of this particular adaptation of Ben-Hur?
Well, actually, I liked this version quite a lot. Okay, I did like the previous one we watched too, although that one was a little maybe too long for my personal preferences, but it was really interesting. This one, I would say, is a very much condensed version, but I think they did a very good job. Maybe one thing I may be missing this version compared to the other one is the romance between Ben-Hur and Esther. It was much better developed in the previous one than in this one. And the whole thing about when the mother and the sister become lepers and the whole conflict of them wanting to stay away from Judah while he wants to save them and all that, that was much better developed in the previous version than this one. but there were many things in the previous one that were dragging on too long, such as the part of him being on the galley and all that. It was much shorter here, which I think is a good thing. And I actually like the way they changed the character of Messala and the way they changed his eventual fate in accordance with that. So yeah, I would say I like this version quite a bit. Maybe okay, people who always prefer originals over remakes may hate me for saying this, but maybe I even slightly prefer this version over the original.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? Having seen both this one and the previous one, what are your first impressions of this particular adaptation?
I liked it a lot. I mean, I like the original. I think because Charlton Heston's in it, and there's always going to be things that you like about the original or something when it's remade. Um, but Morgan Freeman is one of my favorite actors, so
Makes
um
sense.
I really enjoyed him in this. Yeah, there were certain things I liked about both. Okay, I mean, I think the original one does seem to be a little bit slower and drag a little bit, you know, compared to this one. I think is a little bit more better paced, and I can say that too because this got delayed like it did. I rewatched it, and I rewatched it when I was at work, and I'll tell you, if I was rewatching the original, I might have dozed off. You know,
Well, yeah, I can't blame you.
but I
I
rewatched
guess.
this one at work, and I had no problem staying awake, watching it again. And this was a rewatch, because I thought we were going to do it last Sunday. You know, didn't know that we wouldn't have a way to.
Yeah, I watched it for last week and didn't have the time to rewatch it for this one as I was out of town and I actually arrived home about 10 to 20 minutes ago and got online with you guys right away. Uh, so yeah, I wasn't at home and wasn't able to rewatch the movie. I'm sorry for that. I will have to go by memory. Since it's been a week since I watched it, I apologize in advance if there are things I don't remember very clearly.
Well, it's been a week for me too. David's the only one that just recently.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was going
But I
to
did,
rewatch it,
I enjoyed this one a lot. So
and
well,
that's
that's a
why I put
hoot.
this. That's why I put this one forward because it's not one that I hate or dislike, but there are definitely quite a few differences from the original. Uh, First and foremost, we do not get a childhood or a at least a pre-relationship before Marsala gets back from playing soldier. So I mean, in the other one we just get him coming back, and he's greeting Judah as a brother and bringing gifts for Tirza, and they're reminiscing about their childhood. Then this one starts with them already in the arena, and then kind of works backwards and shows you a little bit about how they were together as brothers, or and it puts more emphasis on their relationship as growing up as brothers, which I'm not sure we entirely got that in the original one. We saw that they were fond of each other and stuff and whatnot, but we never got like a before before he comes and visits Judah after he's been gone. Um, the next thing I guess I'm going to point out all the things before I go into to my first impression that I believe were different. Another thing that was different was the way in which things happened to bring Judah to the galley. Uh, in the original one, some stones fell off the scaffolding because Tirza had leaned over on the ledge, and it struck whoever was riding through, and so immediately the whole family was arrested, and he was thrown in the galley. Whereas this time he had helped what they call zealot, which is basically a rebel version of a Jewish individual or group that was standing up against Roman rule. And they'd helped, and Judah had helped one of them and put his whole entire family in danger by shooting an arrow at which I don't even think Pontius Pilate was the guy that was riding through in the original. I think it was someone else.
In the original, I think the guy who got hit by the stone was killed.
Well, he was definitely injured, but I'm not sure if he was killed.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure either. I just somehow remember that he was killed, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not. I'm not entirely sure whether he was killed. I know he was definitely injured badly, and that was why their entire family was, set upon. Whether it was a mistake or not, it happened, and it happened. Uh, while the Romans were standing there, and they weren't going to let it die down easily. A higher up was hurt, and something needed to be done. An example had to be made, and that's kind of what happened here. No matter whether they threw the arrow or not, something had to be done. And it seemed like the Zealots had actually attacked them quite a bit already in this version. There was a cemetery that was attacked, apparently for no reason, in the middle of the night, according to them. Even though the Romans were stealing the stones from the graves of the Jewish people, that was the wrong thing to do. But because the Romans were in power at that time, you didn't say no to the Romans.
Yeah,
That was just not done. You did not oppose them. They were law. You know.
You were
definitely.
talking about the kid that did the arrow, if he died or not. Yes, he is. He's one of the ones that um was crucified along with Jesus, and asked him
Yeah, he
if he
ended
would
up being
forgive
the
him.
asking him if he could go to heaven with him or whatnot,
Right.
and he promised him, "I on this day you will enter into the kingdom of God with me." So,
Oh yeah, another major difference is in the previous version, for some reason they were never showing Jesus' face, and in this one they did.
yeah, that was definitely a major difference as well too. The other another major difference is that there was no relationship between Judah and the guy who basically was the captain of the ship, um, which was a major focal point in the original one.
Oh,
Because what
yes. Yes, that
I
was
would say, you know what,
completely obvious.
I would say the Ben-Hur Charlton Heston one is a remake of the silent version. So, um, so this is a remake of a remake. This uh, you got to bear that in mind too. Um, and from what I understand, the guy who originally wrote the story of Ben-Hur, he was a Civil War general. If I
Wow.
remember correctly. So he knew things about battles and whatnot. And I think that's why there was an extensive galley battle. And I actually enjoy the galley scene in the original because then you get to learn like the different levels of speed that they went through. There were at least four, and I believe there was rowing speed, um, battle speed, ramming speed, and there was at least one more that it went up to. But it was definitely interesting, to say the least, what they did, did do. Ultimately, he escaped from the galley and the chains because he was chained to the rest of those slaves. He almost didn't make it, but he was able to get himself free in time, and then he was on a makeshift raft, and he ended up finding himself to land and in the presence of of the Arab, which is what I believe his name was at the time. Of course, I think in this one, Morgan Freeman's character might actually have a name. Uh,
So,
real
yeah, I
quick.
guess they replaced that captain from the original with Morgan Freeman's character.
Yep,
Or,
his name is Ildirim, or something like that. But
oh, yeah,
in the
I
original,
forgot the name, I'm sorry.
yeah. But in any case, he he basically once he found out he was on a galley, the first thing he wanted to do was turn him over to the Romans because he wanted nothing to do with him. But because he had noticed what was wrong with his female horse and knew what to do about horses and the fact that his female horse was dying and that he could help fix her, um, is why he stayed his hand with him and took him with him. And ultimately, Judah, gained his trust by the way he was with the horses. And I do think that Morgan Freeman's character um, is a good thing for him because even though he didn't originally care about his situation, he had some good advice for him. The fact that his revenge on Marsala would not be a good thing for him, and the best thing that he could do was take and fuel his anger into the arena against him uh, uh, in the chariot races, which I guess at his idea was that um, anything has a price, and I guess he himself had the means in which to buy his way into uh, being driver for his horses, and there was a similar incident in the original that happened here. His driver went off in haste and didn't listen to Judah about the horse being on the inside, and the horses got away from him. I guess I got to go back and maybe we can talk a little bit about the different characters. What did y'all think about Marsala as a character?
Well, actually, I liked this version of his character much better than the other one because in this one his betrayal and for turning against Judah. Like when they were having a conflict about what to do with those zealots and all that, even though you are supposed to side with Judah, you can somewhat understand Messala too, while in the original he was just outright an asshole who got seduced by greed or something like that, if I remember correctly. So in this one, he was, I guess, more human. He had more understandable reasons for being the way he was and
And
doing what he was,
it
and
seemed like
in
he
accordance with that, he was redeemed at the end instead of getting killed, which I was wondering since they had put so much effort into changing his character. Yeah,
and it kind of seemed like this particular version of Masala was somebody else's bitch. In my mind, uh, he had other people kind of uh, controlling what he was doing. He wasn't entirely in charge, and that's one of the reasons why I like the original Masala better. A little bit because that Marsala seemed like he was in charge, like he had some control, and there was nobody else making his decisions for him. You know what I mean? In this one, he particularly had that one general that seemed to stomp on his emotions and remind him about the sins of his father. And you also had Pontius Pilate that was also talking about Jesus of Nazareth being the poison that he would that he's more dangerous than the zealots, you know, that Jesus himself is because of him and his ideas.
Well, I think too that it it was almost at first like he didn't appreciate what Judah's family had done for him. You know, but
Do you
you
think
kind
about
of
it?
get that you kind of get the idea that he did appreciate it, but yet he was so headstrong that he wanted to do everything on his own. Though there's something about his grandfather's name, and he wants to clear his, he wants to do everything on his own. He wants to make his own money and have his own money.
He wants to prove that he's not his grandfather
Right.
because evidently his grandfather had something to do with backstabbing Julius Caesar in some way.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a different situation because I don't think Marsala had a stain to his name entirely in the original, or at least the one that we know. Maybe he did, and we didn't know it. We didn't really know much of a backstory about Marsala.
Right.
But in any case, I believe the brother or Masala, he had feelings for Tirza at one point in time, but by the time he came back from being a Roman, I believe Tirza was intended to be married, and so on and so forth. So, but Tirza and his mother ended up getting thrown away and locked under lock and key while he went to the gallows. And by the time someone had decided to go and check on them, apparently they were and had contracted what was considered the living dead disease, leprosy, which was a very common disease, but it was uncurable, and there were often places that they sent these people who contracted that disease, and they stayed there in that area. But in this particular adaptation, it's like they didn't even let them leave; they just kept them locked up. So, that being said, I believe we are now at the moment. Okay. There is a moment where he comes back and, oh yeah, that's right, Esther. Esther was a slave in his family, a girl that Judah had fallen in love with, and at first he couldn't do anything. And when she was going to be sent off to her marriage with a Roman, he decided that he couldn't deal with that he couldn't deal with her not in his life. So he took her for his wife. But then he was 5 years in the galley, and one of the things that he was able to do, he was able to come back and see her. What did y'all think about Esther? Because I know that she's the one when you first see Jesus as a carpenter, he speaks about loving thy neighbor and all that jazz, and when Judah turns and questions him about some of it, he's like, "Well, ask her." You know? So I believe that that Esther knew and understood more about Jesus' teachings than Judah did. So, what did y'all think about Esther as a character?
About Judah's character?
Esther. Esther as a character. Judah's wife.
Judah's wife?
Yeah, Esther.
Oh. I'm sorry you keep breaking up.
Sorry about that. Esther, Judah's wife. What do y'all think about her?
I thought she was, you know, after everything went down, she was the one that was, making she was taking care of people in town, and their families, and she was also promoting Jesus and his teachings. So she seemed like a very a very innocent yet strong lady for the time. And,
Well, and I
and
thought her character had more to do in the original one with Charlton Heston than she did here.
yeah, I think
Partially,
she was more
partially,
involved with everything.
yeah, because in the original one, she's the one that Tirza and the mother when they came straight from the room that they were released from. Esther was the first one that they came to tell that they had leprosy and they needed help food wise to
Right.
eat, and she kept it secret from Ben-Hur for a little bit, and then she was also with them when they were cured, and all
Right,
that
but
jazz.
not in this one.
Not in this one. So I feel like a lot of the story was condensed as far as the mother and sister go. As far as that goes, but I do think that okay, if I remember correctly, uh, this Judah Ben-Hur had to do everything in secret. Um, when he confronted Marsala, he had to do so by telling him to meet him, you know where. Um, huh? Oh, he is? Okay. I didn't know we lost you. I'm going to add you.
Well, it was about time, you dipstick.
Well, I didn't realize you were not there. Anyway.
Well, thanks. I've been waiting for quite a while when you since you asked what I thought about Esther in this version. I was already in the backstage then.
All right. Well, going to
well, like I said before, yeah, her character is very underdeveloped in this version compared to the previous one. Uh, that's well, there are some things in the original that dragged on too long. I think the whole relationship between Judah and Esther was better in the previous one. That's a part I kind of missed in this one, but she is still accurate to her original role of trying to bring Judas back on the right path after he gets too focused on revenge and so on. And yeah, in this version they removed her quote, which I forgot how it went in the original word by word, but it was something very much like what Obi-Wan says in Star Wars to Anakin when he says, you became what you swore to destroy, or something like that. She said something similar in the original, and here they omitted that probably because they wanted to avoid making a Star Wars reference, since that line is more well known from Star Wars than from Ben-Hur, probably.
Well, and I do think that they hit all the Jesus beats whenever he shows up, because the first time you see him is when they're in the marketplace, and he says something about loving thy neighbor, and then the next instance is when he's on his way to the galley, and he gives him something to drink, and he's like, "You would do the same." And then the next moment you actually see him is possibly in the back. Uh, he he basically covers someone who has leprosy and tells them to put down their stones. Love thy neighbor, and that's when you hear Pontius Pilate state that he's more poisonous than the zealots. And then I think you might actually see him in the background on that Palm Sunday day when all the people are going through with palms. And then the next moment you see Jesus stumbling through the streets, and he attempts to give him a water, but the soldier tells him no. And that's when Jesus told him, "It's okay. I choose to give my life for you," or something to the effect of "I choose to sacrifice my life for all of you," or something similar to that. And then, of course, he follows. He then follows him to the cross, and you see the exchange that happens on the cross. Of course, they miss a couple of lines, but you get the gist. Um, you get the one that's saying you've done nothing wrong. Uh, it's okay. On this day, I will. You will enter heaven with me to this day. And Jesus did say on the cross, forgive them. They know not what they do." But there are, I believe, uh, the words that are missing that are normally of him on the cross is, he says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?"
Yes.
And then
Uh,
he does say the forgive them, they know not what they do.
Although interestingly enough, as you probably know, there are four gospels in the Bible, which are four different, slightly different stories of how the whole story happened. And in some versions, he does say that part, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But I think there are one or two gospels where that line is omitted.
Yeah, which means it might have been shortened as to what he might have said, but um, he normally always says, "Forgive them; they know not what they do." Um, and then, of course, in order for most people to understand that he's about to die, he did say, "It is finished," um, and he died. But um, now we know as readers of the Bible that technically the sky turned purple for like 3 days, and then supposedly 3 days on that third day, supposedly he rose from the dead.
Yeah, I remember that. We didn't see that in the original version. Did we see it in this one? I think we
No,
didn't.
no, we did not. But we did see that the blood seeped into the ground, which seeped into the room in which the mom and daughter were imprisoned, and we saw Morgan Freeman's character paying the guards for their freedom, uh, which I think was one of the last things that he wanted to do for Judah before before they parted ways. Um, and they were miraculously cured. But we don't get to see them together. We see Judah go back and talk to his brother and tell him he no longer wants to fight, no longer wants to do anything do anything of that nature or be angry. And I guess they embrace, and I guess they continue. They grow stronger as brothers after this,
Well,
at least in
and
this particular version.
yes, I think at the very end we see the whole family happy together.
Now, I did kind of skate over the whole racing, because the racing starts at the very beginning of the movie, and of course, one of the things that the Morgan Freeman character told him is to take his revenge and use it in the ring, and leave it there, you know. And
Yeah, but I think the race at the beginning was another one they were just having for fun before anything.
I'm talking about, it started with them in the race with the chariots, and then it flipped backwards to a race that they were having as brothers.
Yeah.
And then um, they are now racing with each other. And one of the things that the uh, owner of the horses, Morgan Freeman's character, um, he basically told him to let the other horse drivers get the lead and hang back and let the other drivers take care of each other before he catches up, and that is the way to win the race. And at first, he almost didn't. He was getting ahead of himself at first. The pure bloodlust of competing against his brother almost got the better of him, but then he hung backwards. Now, I do believe that at that moment where that chariot just kind of like stumbled over stuff, and basically catapulted into to the racetrack, and then that one that got run over. Well, I believe some of that actually did happen in the original. Um, in the original, though, when his chariot jumped over something and landed back down. I believe my dad remembered that particular part was not in the original film. It was not planned. Um, that happened that way. But they kept it in there because it looked so real.
Whew,
But
I
originally,
didn't know that.
yeah, originally that part was not supposed to happen um, when they were filming it, but because it happened and it looked so real, they kept it in there. and I think they tried their best to imitate what they did, what they kind of did. I know that when the dude just kind of stood there and Judah kind of ran him down and he was just hanging on to his horse, that was some intense shit.
Definitely.
And the fact that his chariot jumped over something and he ended up being dragged along the ground, you didn't know what was going to happen. You thought maybe Judah would actually lose or something like that, but he did not. He was actually able to get back up on his horse, even though Marsala did try to stamp him out of his chariot. By doing so, I think he tripped his own darn self and crashed his own chariot.
Well, after so many changes, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they had changed the outcome of the race too.
Well, I know when I first saw this back in 2016, I did not expect the ending where Marsala actually survived.
Yeah.
I was expecting that he was going to be so badly hurt, just like in the original. But changing it like that made it, I think, a little bit more human. Where you almost feel better that them two actually, after this whole thing, were able to mend fences.
Actually, yes. I mean, they changed Masala's character a lot in general, so I think changing his ending was fitting too.
Well, yeah, but in any case, that is about where. What did you all think about the whole entire race of this? And I know you guys saw the race in the original one compared to this, and comparing it to the Star Wars Episode 1 episode.
It's impossible not to compare it to Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Well, Star Wars ripped it from here, so.
Yeah, I know. Well, from the original, not from this version.
Yep. I like the race. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I also thought so. Although since I saw the original quite a while ago, it was kind of difficult to compare them and say which one was better.
How they were able to get the horses up into the audience like that, unless that part was actually CGI. I almost feel like that part might have actually been CGI. The horses getting into the audience and then crawling up or going up the stairs like that.
Yeah, that was freaky.
And how did they do the horses part in the original when CGI was not an option?
Oh, they just let them run into the side or grab the horses from the track and brought them back. But I do remember that there were some Romans hurt while they were trying to pick up some of the bodies in the original. So when that one Roman couldn't get in the fucking door, and he just got run over by the horses coming around, that was a little.
Oh bit, yeah, Morgan Freeman's character was telling everybody, "Get in!" He's trying to push them.
Well, they couldn't quite.
People didn't get out of the way. That guy got taken out because the people wouldn't get out of the way.
I call that a spoo-down moment.
Spoo-down for sure.
Every time a chariot got crashed or a man went down or you even saw one of the wheels of Marsala's wheels cut into one of the horses and the horse went down, So.
Yes, one horse. One horse got killed, if I remember correctly.
I was hoping it was a CGI'd horse.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, within the story.
Yep. believe that we are at the end of it, though, now, per se. Is there anything that you guys might have noticed that you might want to say something about? Like, do you? I personally think what that kid did was wrong, even though, um, though he was fighting the Romans and whatnot, he brought shame onto to Judah's house by doing that. Shooting
Especially
the
after
arrow.
Judah helped him. It was just like,
How could you do that?
right.
You know.
You're talking about Messala, right?
Well, no, I'm talking about the arrow that hit another a person, but flew right by Pontius Pilate and his character. Which I guess putting Pontius Pilate as the character or a general that was riding through does make a little sense because Pontius Pilate does play a part in the trial of Jesus ultimately. Although he liked to he liked there. I know there was a lot more to do with Pontius Pilate in the Bible or in the story of Ben-Hur, in the story of Jesus, and leading up to his death. The fact that his wife had dreams and believed in what Jesus was teaching and whatnot. He wanted nothing to do with Jesus, so he sent him off to Herod, and then Herod made a mockery of Jesus in his court, and because he didn't do anything that he thought he would do, like create a miracle or anything like that, he sent him right back to Pontius, and the people wanted Jesus' death regardless. If I remember correctly, they wanted Barabbas, a criminal, a known murderer, to be released in his stead. But
Yeah, but I don't. From the
it didn't
Bible,
happen in the, it didn't happen in this movie. No.
uh, yeah, but from the Bible, I don't remember actually Pontius Pilate being that much against Jesus. I think he
It's
said
not that he
something
was
like,
against Jesus. He just didn't want to be the one making the decision about what happened to him. So
yeah,
he passed
something
the
like,
buck off. He passed the
I,
buck off to Herod, but Herod just sent him backwards to him, and then Pontius had to make the final decision. And he was totally against trying to kill him in any regards. But the people and the Pharisees were entirely for putting him to death. And they wouldn't take no for an answer. And instead of having a mob on his hands, he decided to give them what they wanted, even though it went against what his wife wanted. And I believe that shortly after Pontius Pilate actually killed himself, if I remember correctly.
it was in the Bible.
Oh well, yeah, I believe that Pontius Pilate, after making that decision, he ended up.
I think it was Judas who hung himself. I
Well,
don't
Judas hung
remember.
himself, but Pontius Pilate did something to himself too, if I am
Really?
not mistaken. Yeah, I
Uh,
could be wrong, but I seem to remember something about something happening to him where he could not live with his decision, and he went and offed himself, I think.
I, I don't know. I don't remember that from the Bible, but maybe. Not
But in any
sure.
case, um, that being said, at the end of everything, what did y'all think about the production overall?
I thought
Uh,
the production was decent. I mean, it definitely, the costumes were good. It looked like it was the time. The horses were obviously very well trained and handled very well. Hopefully the one did not get hurt, you know, in the race.
Yeah.
But most likely, because this is from 2016, the horse probably did not get hurt.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I like I said, I thought the production was very good because I think everything I think was portrayed very well. The boats, or the ships and everything too, and
Well, yeah.
and
I do still wish that we'd have gotten a little bit more understanding of the different speeds like we did in the original Ben-Hur and the Galley. Because yes, they did everything by the drum and whatnot, but I feel like um, we're missing some of the time, some of the way that he was somewhat tortured, and the different things that they as slaves went through by cutting some of that out. I liked learning the different speeds of.
I think they might have cut some of the scenes with the how the slaves were treated because of what year this movie came out. See, the when the original came out, sometimes movies from back then were a little bit more realistic and a little bit more graphic on some things. You know, so that might be why they didn't put all the slave stuff in this one.
Well,
Whew.
regardless, I still liked learning the different speeds that they put at for the road, because I let's see. I was trying to find something at one point in time. But in any case, what did you think of the overall production uh, for it?
I also think the production was very good. There was, in my opinion, really nothing missing, except maybe the part with the lepers in 2016. They could have done more to show the horror of that condition, and they didn't really show much of that, of what those people look like when they get struck with that disease. Uh, it was actually, I think, more portrayed in the original, but okay. Other than that, I think there really isn't anything I can complain about when it comes to the production. Uh, all the effects were really good, and like Tammy says, the horses really did appear to be very well trained for this movie. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, and me, well, I thought the production overall was pretty darn good overall. Um, I thought that where it was different, it was different. I thought it was interesting that Marsala actually uh, 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 at the end of it survived. I thought that the it was definitely a period piece, um, and I liked it uh, on on the whole. I mean, there were definitely some things I liked better in the original, but I also enjoyed this one almost almost as much. It's just I'm so used to how the other one went, and that's what takes me back. It's like I keep comparing in my mind, like this is where this should happen, and this is where this should happen, and this did not happen in the other one, or things of that nature. And that's what I keep doing. It's partially because I'm so used to the other one, and
Well,
the other
that's
one
kind of
came on a lot when I was a kid. My it was one that was well liked by my parents. So,
ooh.
but I was also used to the slowness of it.
Well, comparing is kind of difficult to avoid when you have two different versions of the same story.
Very true. And when you like the original, like I do, it's kind of hard to compare and entirely like it when they shorten things and cut things out of and from the original, but yet give some of the characters more breath. Okay. Like I enjoyed the fact that Marsala had a backstory and you got to know him a little bit better. Okay.
Yes, and like I also said before, I am also glad that he survived in this version. I somewhat since they changed his character as much as they did, I somewhat hoped they might change the ending too, but I wasn't getting my hopes up too high. But yeah, in the end, I liked how it turned out.
Well, he did still imprison his mother and still was his mother and whatever were dead. And he still kind of went along with the Romans and placed the blame of that arrow on him, even though he saw differently that they were hiding someone who might have actually been a zealot. So I feel like they should have fit the crime with the person who was the criminal, and not just killed, because they killed that old man when they first came into the property. I think he might have been Judah's father.
You might have. I think so.
Or I'm not sure anymore. Could he maybe be Esther's father?
That might have been too. But regardless, as soon as they came in, they killed someone, and they weren't trying to be careful when they came inside. So to me, I feel like if Marsala was any kind of a leader, he might have had more control over those Romans before they went in, or whatnot. I understand Pontius Pilate. No matter what he wanted something done, but I don't know. I feel like the situation could have been handled better.
Who? Well, maybe, yeah.
But in any case, that being said, let's move on to music. Did anyone realize there was music?
Well, there definitely was background music, but I don't remember anything that really drew my specific attention. But I guess it was fitting for the movie as it was. But maybe Tammy can refresh my memory on something I might have forgotten since last week.
She's probably gonna something similar because she probably was just watching the movie. She wasn't paying attention to the music, correct?
I know I wasn't really paying attention to the music. Sorry.
That's okay. The music was composed by Marco Beltrami, and I guess he is known for iRobot, World War Z, and Hellboy, among other films like The Nun 2, Renfield, Plane, Deepwater, definitely some others. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the Fear Street Saga, that was on Shudder, Love and Monsters. These are some of these are after 2016. So scary stories to tell in the dark in 2019.
Oh.
A Quiet Place, the first one. I don't know whether he was part of. Oh, yep, he was the composer for the second movie. Was he a composer for the pre one? No, doesn't look like it. But and before Ben-Hur, he did the composing music for that Washington series called Turn. A shark movie called The Shallows. He was a composer for 13 of Lucifer episodes.
I like The Shallows.
Wow.
I like Lucifer.
He was a composer for Gods of Egypt the same year. Hitman, Agent 47, The Fantastic Four, Woman in Black 2, Seventh Son. Let's see, going backwards, he was for that last version of Carrie that came out in 2013. The Wolverine, Snowpiercer, A Good Day to Die Hard. That was the last Die Hard that was put out. Warm Bodies, which was that like Twilight version of zombies. He did the Thing prelude. The music for that. Scream 4. And so he definitely did a lot. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which was a Guillermo del Toro movie. Jonah Hex, Knowing, In the Electric Mist, Max Payne, Amusement, The Eye, Live Free or Die Hard. So I guess he has done at least 2 of the Die Hards. Some of the Underworld movies he's done. Cursed, Terminator 3, Dracula 2, The Ascension, Resident Evil. Hey, okay, cool. But anyways, let's go into favorite scenes and their favorite characters. Favorite scene or scenes and our favorite characters. Tammy, let's start with you.
I like the chariot race.
You like the chariot race?
Yes.
I think you like the same in the other one.
Because I like how intense it was, and as Philippe says, there was lots of sprouts in it. You know.
Sorry, I can't help liking the spoodaus.
My favorite character is actually Judah.
Okay. So is that pretty much it then for you as far as favorite scene and your favorite characters?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Heading over to you, Boris. What were your favorite scene or scenes and our favorite characters?
Well, I would say, although I do like the race scene, I would say my favorite scene was the reconciliation between Judah and Messala. And my favorite character, well, probably Judah too, although, truth be told, with the changes they introduced in this version, Messala kind of does steal the spotlight. But yeah, I guess I'll go with Judah after all. Mm,
Okay. I'm gonna have to go with Judah myself as a favorite character. I'm not sure how I feel about uh, many of the other characters. Because and I like Marvin Freeman as a character as well. But
oh yeah, his character was pretty cool, but oh well, he is Morgan Freeman. He is almost always cool.
I have to agree. The chariot race is always my favorite part in the Ben-Hur movies. So I'll have to go. I hate to say the same thing, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the chariot race that you come to the movie to come see because they are both, I believe, fantastic. And well
Oh,
put
true.
together. So, um, at the end of everything, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Oh, nothing that comes to my mind. Maybe I would have had something to add if I hadn't seen the movie a week ago, and if I wasn't as exhausted from traveling back home as I am. I'm sorry about that. Mm, but yeah,
No, I appreciate the time just to go on about this movie and discuss it in at least a little bit that we can. So, thank you for being able to come on and be able to do this. Um, I enjoyed talking about this movie. So, in any case, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have seen the movie. If you have not, you go out and see it. Uh, definitely let us know in the comments what you thought of our discussion, what you thought of the movie, and I guess we'll definitely see you next week. Hopefully, you get a chance to follow along with us as we try to get back into the swing of things with our podcast here. I know we had a couple of weeks off, but one was out of our control. I guess we have, thanks to a squirrel, we didn't have internet for a couple of days. So death, death
squirrel.
to all death to all evil squirrels.
Ouch!
So who's
Poor
next week?
squirrels.
Well, next week I believe it is uh, Boris's choice. He wants to delve back into a Ring movie, even though we have covered all the Ring movies in the franchise. Those that people acknowledge.
Uh, actually, what made you so sure that I was going to pick a Ring movie?
Because you told me that you wanted to go back into the fray.
I thought we watched all of them though.
Well, we
Uh,
have watched all of the mainstream ones that people like to acknowledge. He likes to
uh,
acknowledge a lot more movies in this franchise than people really fucking care about. So,
uh, actually, there are some more Japanese Ring movies that we have not covered. However, I I was initially planning to read the last two novels of the series so that I can compare them to the movies when we get to them. However, I did read the novels, and some things in the novels majorly disappointed me. So you will probably be happy to hear that I kind of lost the enthusiasm for discussing the rest of the Japanese Ring franchise, at least for
Well, we
now,
can always come
maybe.
back to them at a later time if you so want to. But
Yeah.
I would say find other movies for now.
Yeah, I didn't think you would be too sad if I dropped the rest of the Japanese Ring movies. But yeah, for next Sunday, I actually have something else on mind, something you, or at least you maybe did see it coming since I was mentioning it, but our audience probably doesn't see it coming. This time I am choosing an old black and white movie from 2000, from 1947. It's called Boomerang.
A movie called Boomerang.
Yeah, 1947.
Okay. And do you think you can send it to me via WeTransfer, possibly? Oh,
It's called
I
Boomerang.
yes, yes. You know that movie.
no, I don't think we do. Boomerang movie. Let's see. Oh, there's one from 1992 with Eddie Murphy.
No way, that can't be the same thing. 19 what? 92. Let's
Okay,
see.
from Dana Andrews. Okay, so I can no, I can't watch it there. So let me see if I can.
Uh, if you cannot find it, I should be able to
Send
get
me a
it to
copy.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
why don't you do that? Just do it via WeTransfer.
I will. I will.
It's easier for me to download load it from WeTransfer. So
Yes, I will do that. Probably during the rest of today.
yeah, because
Can
I'm
you
looking
watch?
at the.
Can I watch a transfer or no?
Can
You
you watch the
can.
transfer? You can watch the transfer as soon as I put it up somewhere.
Oh,
I WeTransfer is an uploader. I will upload it on WeTransfer. You will download it, and then you can watch it downloaded.
oh,
And Tammy, I can probably put it in my P Cloud, and you could probably watch it from there.
oh!
Ah,
So I can watch it at work or whatever.
Yeah, Justin. Yeah, because Tammy likes to watch things at work ahead of time, especially when it's normally the next day that we end up having to go on. So, in any case, like, share, and subscribe. So bring your own boomerangs so that you can shoot them up in the air and have them come back to you.
yeah, I think that's not really what the movie is about. I'm actually not sure where the title Boomerang came from, but
But in any case, everyone say good night.
good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.